So for this week's wrap up, I'll be discussing surveillance, specifically when it's used as a tactic to keep people either in or out of a establishment, with those who are within suffering more than those who are without. But those who are without are automatically assigned the stigma of suspicion. Here's what I mean. Residential fortification reveals to us that it is the use of surveillance that creates a type of socio-spatial segregation, sort of know your place type of structure, right? And I'll read it here for you. This is page 82 of residential fortification. It says, while design deterrence. Oh wait, let me go back. The literature on fortified enclaves highlights the ways that built forms and social norms function politically to enforce socio-spatial segregation and to send clear symbolic messages about who does and who does not belong. While design deterrence to social integration may take the form of gated communities or enclosed malls and office buildings, they can also manifest in more direct, if less visible, forms of benches that cannot be slept on, sprinkler systems that keep people away from buildings or parks, or inadequate public transportation systems. The naturalization of urban and suburban designs may simultaneously serve to maintain certain social orders and exclusions while reducing public awareness of social problems. And that naturalization of urban and suburban communities, like it's kind of like a design to maintain what they said social order, but it's kind of like a Marxist type of disposition, like social classes and whatnot, with elitist type of thinking. They pretty much contribute to the liberties that the rich have, while also contributing or supporting that which diminishes or oppresses the poor. And all of this is by way of surveillance, right? And this is a type of subtle warfare enacted by elite or governance authorities to condition and control the public and the private, right? Because surveillance creates a form of policing by inviting and dispelling stigmas, all of which are held together by a false sense of security and a gilded perception of protection, both from within and without. From without, you are immediately the suspect regardless of action or inaction. From within, you are a prisoner condemned to the sense of social conformity with the promise of privacy and freedom within it. But both hold the disposition that it is safer within than without, but neither holds any truth. So I want to talk about this idea of surveillance, because from the readings, after they got the perspectives of the people, everyone understands that the flaw within surveillance is the delay, the time delay, because no one is really, unless someone is paid, and that's a paid position, you get what I'm saying, or that's a solidified position, no one is sitting there watching cameras. It's not till something happens that naturally you go back and rerun the cameras, but by then the crime has already happened or the incident has already happened. And that was mentioned throughout the reading as well. For me, I know, like, working in the leasing office, when you have incidents, let's say someone's car got broken into, and you go back and you run that footage, the car is already broken into. Whatever's missing is missing, right? So then you have to, it's a whole process just to locate, to sit there, to watch, but all this takes time, and then you have to get the police. The police have to get the tape. They have to run the tape. And depending on whether they've been through that neighborhood, that community or not, then they might have access. They might or might not have access to the cameras already. You get what I'm saying? So that's why I say it's a false sense of security, because the cameras are supposed to act as a deterrent. However, if there is a belief that the cameras don't work, you get what I'm saying? If there's those cameras, then it's kind of just like people are going to do what they do anyway. And even if they do, enact that crime, then it's going to take a while for us to even recover the footage to get them. You get what I'm saying? And who's to say that the footage is even clear enough or even shows them doing it anyway, or if the cameras are positioned well enough to do that anyway? That's in anybody's scenario. But one thing I would say is that we need more teachings on how surveillance affects people's dispositions in life, the ways in which we interact and communicate with one another, and how it limits or expands our liberties. So like monitoring people, and how once people understand they're being watched, how that changes their disposition or how it doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Rather, because the reading said, if you go into a store and you realize they got cameras, either you going to care or you're not going to care, because you understand that you're not going there to do anything, shady. You get what I'm saying? So it's kind of just like, that idea of being watched. So like, how do you respond to that, of being monitored? How do we all respond to that? I think that's more of a psychology thing though, right? In technology, it's probably where they both meet at, how technology, how cameras, how monitoring, surveillance affects, our minds. That's something I would say. And let's see. And the last comment is, the needs of the many outweigh the wants of the few. A reformation in thinking regarding marginalized communities and the desire to other them needs to happen in the minds of those who do the surveilling, building, gerrymandering, and policy making, to lessen the exclusivity to these communities, to these areas, to these structures, right, that are being surveilled, that create this kind of atmosphere of welcome or rejection, or acceptance or rejection. Thank you. That's this week's wrap up.